All right, so welcome back to the Inexperienced Development Podcast. I'm back with Fahir from Awesome Tuts. It's been probably a couple months now, so
2 or 3,
he's
I
probably
believe.
got a lot to say. Yeah, 3, right? So, how has your 3-month break from me been, man?
Well, pretty nice actually. I mean, and not in a bad way when you said break from me, but yeah, I did a lot of stuff. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, it's been good. I've been, I committed to making like a game a month kind of
I saw
thing,
that.
like not a full game, but like
How is it going?
getting genres down. Yeah, and so last month, yeah, so last month was I did it like I wanted to do like a third person shooter, but I got stuck on the networking aspect of it because I for some reason I made a third person online game. It was kind of a pain in the rear. But this month's much better. I'm doing a turn based RPG, and basically I have the mechanics programmed, and I just made some music for it, and I just have to make the story, I guess. And I made all the assets myself, which is pretty cool. First time I've done that.
So, yeah, I mean the asset part is one of like the most not to say annoying, but for a programmer, yeah, annoying parts of creating a game.
Yeah, definitely. It's extremely annoying. The animations take. I feel like the animations take so long. It takes me a day to get like all the animations I want for one character done. So, but I think I can reuse them.
Yeah, I mean, thank God for the asset store. Otherwise, I would be dead.
Yeah, I feel you, dude. My problem with the asset store is still the same. I just don't know how to mix. I'm not very good at like design, like interior design. Like putting this couch goes with this wall and stuff like that. So it's kind of the same skill with picking good assets that go well together. So I
Yeah,
decided
I get your
everything
point.
I make
Like
is going to be pretty similar.
basically, uh, that's why I try. That's why I try to have a team of people with me. People who are working with me, so that I can, they will do the heavy part, so to say. But no, I mean, it sounds really bad when I say doing the heavy part. But what I actually mean is they are designers. They're doing their part. I'm doing my part. So it,
Right, and the heavy part
and
for you
yeah.
might not be the heavy part for them. Oh, you cut out. The heavy part for you might not be the heavy part for them, so it's like much easier,
Yeah,
for them to.
yeah, exactly. Actually, I changed the connection to my phone connection because it's faster. So yeah,
Okay, you're good. You're good.
yeah. So now
So
everything because you were
yeah,
cutting
so
out with
you've
me.
been.
So yeah, now we're fine.
I think we're good. I think we're good, and plus we're having our own audio recorded, so it should be seamless. But so you've been doing the have you been doing the game a month app, like the app store kind of game a month thing still, or?
Yeah, I mean it's not a month, but we try to do as many games as we can. I have now a team of 4 people, so we teamed up with 2 more people. I mean they're also my friends from here, so now we are 2 programmers and 2 designers. I cannot remember if I mentioned that in the previous podcast, but I started with one of my friends. His name is Ahmed. He is doing some things. He's doing the Tenogen skins with Warframe. So we teamed up. We started creating games, and we added 2 more people. So now we're a team of 4 people. We published one more game in the meantime since our last podcast. We are publishing our next game this week, so the week starting from tomorrow. And we already have prototyped our next game, and we are giving it to our friends to play test it. Basically, it's 80% finished, so I believe that game will be also released in 2 to 3 weeks maximum. So yeah, in the next month we will release at least 2 games and start working on the next one.
That's amazing, dude. So how did your like, I guess the first one end up like after I guess it's been 3 months. So how's it doing?
I am surprised. I mean, it didn't get a lot of downloads because we're still not that much concentrated in on marketing and getting people to download it. It has around, on average, it has around 200 players on average. So on daily basis, people are playing it. It's not much when you see it, but what I saw is the growth in revenue. I mean, it's still not much, but like the first month since I released it, it earned like $5. Second month, it earned $10. So it doubled the earnings. Which
Right,
if you
exactly.
yeah if you take a look at that, I mean it's 200 people playing the game and you earn $10 a month. You can just do the math. What if those 200 people turn into 2,000 people? that's going to be
Right.
$100 a month. If they turn into 20,000 people, that's going to be, $1,000 a month. So, and that's one game. So our plan is to do things like that, grow slowly but steadily. And I mean, we're still not heavily focused on marketing. Currently I'm only marketing the games through my YouTube channel. So as I said, we're now a team of 4 people. 2 other team members also have their YouTube channels. They still didn't start to market it. We also plan to market the game via TikTok, because I see like every single video can blow up on TikTok. And one of my friends, Ahmed, actually, he creates some, crazy things with TikTok, and he gets like 100K, 200K, 300K views and so on and so forth. And what's really good is that he found a hack with TikTok that you can actually create it anywhere in the world. It's like you can create it from Italy, for example, but you can create like an American account, and it will, because with TikTok, as I understood, it works like that. Depending on the country where you created it, it will first try to push your video in that country, So
Wow.
so he created his account like he is from USA, and he only gets the majority of his views are from USA. So this is what we are also going to do. So we are going to create a TikTok for our company, game dev company, and push the games through TikTok as well. That's also, I mean, that's one of the marketing plans that we plan to do. But so far, I'm pretty satisfied how things are growing. Given the fact that we are not pushing that heavily, downloads are coming steadily, slowly but steadily, and revenue is increasing. So, like my rough guess is that if we continue to do things like this, in a year, we will probably have a business that's earning between 5 to 10K a month.
Right. That's amazing. That would be so cool.
Yeah, I mean, and
That'd
I
be
plan to document all that, and that's one of the reasons why I started that series on my channel, like from scratch. I named it From Scratch to 1 million. Maybe we will reach 1 million, maybe we don't, but I definitely want to reach a point where that's a steady business that you can actually live off.
No, definitely. That would be like ideal situation, right? And with such a small team, right? You're getting a big cut, and if you can grow the team, then the more players get there, I'm sure it'll just keep growing and growing and growing.
Yeah. I mean, as you said, for the bigger cut, like what I did so far is that when I, got people on my team, I was like, oh, you will have this salary and this salary and that salary. I was like, man, I just want this to work. So I told them like, depending on, like, we are a team of 4 people. If 4 of us work on a game, we publish it, we will split the revenue on 4 parts. If 3 of us work on a game, because the next game, the after one, so the 5th game that we have a prototype that I told you that's like 80% done, only Ahmed and my other friend are working on it, because me and the other guy are finishing our other game, which means 2 of us did one game, the other 2 did the other game, so they will split the other game between them, we will split this game between us, and it's going to work. Like, I think it's better that way, because I mean, everybody will push. They will give their best to try to create a game, because he doesn't have in his head, okay, I'm working for $500, $1,000, that's it, if the game blows up and earns more money, and I don't get any of that cut. So it's also gonna motivate people to make them actually feel part of the company, not just like another worker.
Right. And I think there's a little issue that I see. I mean, you probably don't have it since they're your friends. But like when it comes to people working on commission only, did you pay them up front as well, or are you literally just doing commission only, like revenue share?
Depending on, like, if I get a contractor or somebody to do some work for me, I will pay them when the work is done. Depending on what is the work, do this, and we agree on a price, and then I pay them. But these are like people that, that they do from time to time things for me, but the way we are structured now is that, like, we see each other. Like, just a moment ago I saw Ahmed like 15 minutes ago, so we live in the same city. It's not a big city, we see each other all the time, we communicate with each other, so on and so forth. Especially like the good thing is that we live in a third world country, and everybody has their own side income. I mean, their own, so to say, business. They're earning money, and what I mean when I said that the good thing is that we live in a third world country is that, for example, here the average salary, and I maybe talked about this in the previous podcast, is like $400 a month. So, and all of us have a business where we earn at least $1,000 a month. So that's more than enough to sustain ourselves, and we have a lot of time to work on those games, and nobody is like in need of cash and stuff like that. And that's also one of the things I don't know, I cannot remember with who I talked with. Was it on the video or something like that? But I also said, yeah, with one of the Unity guys, they contacted me, and I'm going to collab with them on some things. And one of the things we talked about, what is being, depending on where you live and who you are as a person, the definition of you being rich from making games will vary. Because I don't live in US where I know, you live in US, and you probably know in some parts of US you need to earn at least 100K a year to live a basic life,
Right.
Yeah, whereas in my city, if I were to earn 100K a year, I could drive a Mercedes-Benz S-Class. I could afford the best apartments. I could, buy a house. Not in a 1 year, but like in 2 years, I can buy myself a Mercedes-Benz, and I can buy an apartment with probably 100 square meters, So
I'm moving in, dude.
yeah, and the taxes are low. Like on 50,000, like not $50,000, but 50,000 euros, which is roughly $58,000, I pay like $2,000, $3,000 a year taxes. Everything else goes in my pocket.
Wow.
So
yeah, so I mean, there is a benefit to I mean, I don't know. You could tell me if there's any downsides, but it sounds like really some locations, if you're working the American market, it's better to live somewhere where it's really cheap to live.
Yeah. I mean, I see this with people online now. I don't know if you follow some, YouTubers, stuff like that. I mean, I don't follow as regularly as I did, but I, for example, saw Logan Paul. I mean, totally not game dev related, but I saw he's moving like to another country or city or whatever because of the taxes. And I see this a lot, especially with people who work online and only work online. I saw this even before, like a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. They're like living, I don't know, in Thailand, even though he is a US citizen. He lives in Thailand because he pays lower taxes, and he still gets to travel. He does things and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely. I mean, all of the time I saw one of the guys on YouTube. Maybe you also saw his channel. He's doing like those videos, like famous games, but for PC1. For Andres Lumbrog, I don't know. He's from Sweden, and I saw one of his videos. He did a revenue share, like it was for 2019, I believe. How much money he earned from mobile games, and he earned like 60,000 in that year, and he said like 32K from that money I gave on taxes in Sweden, more than half of money.
Wow. Yeah. I've heard Sweden's terrible with taxes.
Yeah, and I mean, if he was to earn that same amount of money, if he just moves to my city, and he's from Sweden, which is in European Union, he can move in my country to live without visa, without anything. He can just move here to live. On $60,000, he would pay like $2,000 or $3,000 tops, and all of the rest money goes in his pocket.
Yeah, that's amazing. And the internet basically has made this possible. So like before, I'm sure before no one really was kind of breaking that bank. It was maybe the few entitled people, but now at this point, it's a lot easier, right?
Yeah, exactly. Especially with the online world now, and especially with the time that's currently in with the virus and stuff like that, and a lot of people moving online, and a lot of people using online, so using the internet for entertainment, for stuff like that. I mean, games have never been in such a good position as they are today, especially mobile games.
So when it comes to your ads playing in the US, you get more money from the ads that play in the US as opposed to other places.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the ads, I'm also a marketer. Like I have my, course business, YouTube business, that all goes, a lot of the things that I do is actually marketing, but regular people don't see that because it's actually a skill, and I paid people. I paid big bucks to learn how to do those things. So I was paying ads myself, and you can just see the difference. Like, for example, for 1,000 people to see your ad in US, it costs like $5, $10, $15, in some cases even $20. But in a third world country, like for $5, 100,000 people can see your ad. So you see the difference.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
I think that's what I've been targeting. I run some ads too, and yeah, I've noticed like if you pick like even second world countries like Mexico and stuff, you get 2 cent, 1 cent views. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, depending on the country, and I always said like I'm really sad that my country is not like not a lot of people know how to speak English. Whereas, for example, in Sweden, English is like their second language. Like every second citizen knows how to speak English. And I'm saying this because I always told my friends, I wish if I had some product that I can market in our place, in our country, and the local countries nearby where the language is basically the same, because it will be so cheap. Like you can sell a $100 product, and on every $100, I'm sure that you can get at least $1,000 back. Because it's that cheap to advertise. For $100, I believe at least 500,000 people can see my ad.
Right, but then you also have to think like, do the people make enough money to actually get that?
Well,
to like purchase
yeah,
that?
but like nowadays, like especially, I mean, not everybody is rich that stays, but like I often think about this because I mean it's not all about money, and the money cannot. This is for everybody listening. Like if you are into any business, game dev, whatever, to earn money and you think that will make you rich, no. Like for example, I can quit game dev and I can quit everything that I'm doing. And I can sustain myself for the at least next 3 or 4 or 5 years, not doing anything. But my work is making me happy. The things I do, they make me happy, because when you get, people think that I need a fancy car, I need a big house, but when you get all those things, you see that they don't make you happy. And then you realize that you just need money to buy food, to sustain, to live on the day. And that's basically everything. And when you get to, and you realize that point, you see that you don't need a lot of money. That's why I'm saying people can afford a lot of things, because even though we live in hard times, but the fact is that the world and people in general were never richer than today. Like if you take a look at 100 years ago, not more, I'm not going to go 200, 300, 100 years ago, you can see like in my city, I remember one of my friends, they told me like, and he's like 5 or 6 years older than me. He's like, I remember when I was a kid, we used to play behind my building. We live in the same building. He said, I used to play behind the building. There was not a car to pass by for hours and hours. But now, basically you cannot walk because of the cars and how many cars there are. Like 10 years ago, they are like, you see 10 houses and only one car. Like one person in those 10 houses has a car. But now every house has 2 or 3 cars.
Right.
So
it's like the ease of access of technology, right? So like it's gotten cheaper to make things at the same time. I think that's really it. I'm not saying there's definitely a difference between like there's a closer gap between the rich and the poor. There's not like such a difference, right? Like there used to be either you're really rich or you're not eating for a week.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of gotten to the point where.
Yeah, exactly. And I watch a lot of religious lectures. I don't want to turn this into a religion podcast, but one of the things that one person said in one of those lectures is like, he was talking about people who were doing it tough. And he was mentioning people who lived like 1,000 years ago. And he's like, they were really doing it tough. And he's like, today people say we're doing it tough. But what we really mean is I don't drive an AMG. I'm driving my Toyota Camry or I'm driving my BMW, This is what we mean when we say we're doing it tough. I'm not saying everybody, but like, if you have basic needs, if you have food for every day, you have a small car for your needs. Like I have, like I'm married, my wife has a car, I have a car. Like I didn't turn on my car at least for 10 days, maybe 15. Because I don't have
right.
My city is small. I can go wherever I want to go on my foot. So you see what I mean, So that's why I believe a lot of people can, and especially nowadays, what I think that put into people's minds that they are poor is like, okay, I have enough to sustain myself and live a normal life, but then I open Instagram and I see Cristiano Ronaldo and I want to be like him, but I have $400 in my pocket and he has like $400 million. So that's why people think so. Yeah, definitely. I believe that people can afford a lot of things. Like, even if you take a look at games, because we stranded off a little bit from the game development podcast.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay, dude. This is good. This is like a Joe Rogan thing. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I mean, I love these things because people think like, okay, we are a game dev channel, but all of these things are connected to game development. Like, game development is a business. You need to think like a businessman. How you can actually, I publish a video and I talk about the plugins that I use, and people comment like, man, you're not a game developer. You only use plugins. But if you know anything about game development, and I assume that you saw the podcast or the interview, how Jonas named it with Thomas Brush. Thomas Brush said, man, I do very little things for my games. He's like, I'm porting my game to iOS and I'm not doing anything. I hired a contractor, because that's how things work. If you try to do everything, especially on your own, you are never going to make it. You're never going to do it. It takes a lot of time. So you need to think about these things. If you don't think like this, you will never succeed, not even as a game developer or anything else. So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the part that people can afford, if you take a look at mobile games and in-app purchase in mobile games, people are spending a crazy amount of money to buy some basic stuff. Like, for example, I told you in my city, in my country, the average salary is like $400. Just the other day, my friend contacted me. He's like, man, my friend wants to buy a package in PUBG that costs like $90. That's like the fourth of your salary. So yeah, people
that's the psychology. That's like they've mastered the psychology of getting people to buy things that don't matter, which is great. It's great. I mean, it's great for game developers in a way. And if people have the money, it's good. But it's not good when I guess the kids get the credit cards and start just spending the parents' money.
But yeah, Apple definitely has a protection for that. Google Play, I believe, as well. And I mean, parents, only if, I don't want to offend anyone, but only if you're stupid, like, your kid can get your credit card. There's no way my kid can get my credit card without me knowing. There's no way he can spend money from it without me knowing. And before all that even happens, I'm going to raise him in a way that he knows that he cannot touch that thing without my knowledge, without asking me, because if he does, he's going to get a beating. I mean, some people disagree with that, especially in Europe. But thank God, in my country, there is no law like you cannot touch your kid and stuff like that, which I personally think is stupid. But I mean, that's another topic. But there's no other way how you can raise your kid. As you said, like, I don't want my kid spending $100 on some, PUBG. Maybe if it's my game, he can spend it, but still, it's my money going in my pocket. So
yeah, then you just get the money back. You just get the money back. You pay the 2% to the payment processor or whatever if you have to.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, so yeah, I think the difference is back, I guess, when those games kind of started, the parents weren't so technologically literate as well. So it's like when CSGO crates and all that stuff came out and all these Zynga, the start of like Words with Friends and all that, Buy More Extra Lives and Candy Crush, parents didn't really know how to use their phones beyond using as a phone. Yeah. And now the kids are parents. And so it's like, I already did that, weaseled my way through that.
Yeah, that's totally true. That's totally legit, as you said. But that was like 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. Now I can see like old grandpas and grandmas, with the phone and doing stuff, and they don't know everything, but people now are familiar, especially when it comes to money. Like, once your kid can get your credit card, but the second time, hardly, man.
Yeah, I think the problem was a lot of times, like, I guess, and I think it's partially the game companies kind of learned about this as well, is like when you put in the credit card to buy the game sometimes or buy one thing in the game, they save the credit card with no protections on it.
Yeah, that's one of the sneaky the sneaky snake ways, which I personally don't like, because they throw bad reputation on the industry overall as general. And that's why I hated when people tell me, like, partly for fun. You probably saw it. I did the video Game Developer Reacts to a Day in the Life of a Game Developer. And people went crazy. I mean, it was mostly for fun. I just, said, not everything that I said I mean, because it's, a lot of it's entertainment. But some stuff I do mean. People are like, oh, you never worked a day. A company doesn't owe you anything. Why should they give you food? Man, if let's be honest, let's be real. Like, you as a single employee, no matter how small you are, you're working on a game or whatever, the company pays you, let's say, $10,000 a month. You earn 120K a year. In return, you earn them at least 10 times more. At least 10 times more you earn that company. So why shouldn't they give you free food? I mean, that's like, I mean, that's like $20 more per day for them. What's that? Like, you earn them $2 million and they give you $100,000 and that's it. Like, and people are like, the company doesn't owe you anything. Man, that company is where it is because of you.
No, and I definitely think there's a culture thing. So like in America, if you were to say that, right, I would, and I guess this is probably where a lot of reviewers come from. I would say it goes back to the contract, right? So like if you said you were going to buy them food, and if you do buy them food, now you're just a great boss. Now you're just like, wow, this guy's buying me a bunch of food.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's definitely not expected over here.
Yeah.
But if I was making 10 times the money, see, and this is just the individual too. So like there's a lot of different outlooks. I'm not saying there's a lot of greedy people, but there's definitely a lot of people who treat their money more frugally. Like they don't like to hold on. They like to hold it all and kind of hoard it like what's that duck with all the gold? The DuckTales duck,
Yeah.
Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people.
Duck,
There's a lot of Scrooge McDucks. There's a lot of Scrooge McDucks.
Yeah, especially the bigger companies.
Definitely.
It's all about money with them. They don't care about anything. They don't care about you as an employee. They don't care if you're healthy or not. They just don't care. They just care if you can do the work and make them more money. I mean, let's be honest. We live in a world where money is everything to a lot of people. And that's why I say, like, what you said is true. It's not expected. But I personally believe in the tech world, it should be expected and should be a standard. Like, one of those things that you can see, big companies are starting to get scared in a way. I saw like a year or two or even 3 years ago that Google is offering their employees to work on their project. Like, I work in Google and I have my own idea. Google will allow me to work on my idea. If they see potential, they will invest in that idea and of course get their share. But I will also have my share. And reading more in that explanation why Google is doing that, because they saw a lot of people leaving them, starting their own companies and making them huge. Or
Right.
at least
No,
leaving them.
definitely.
Yeah, and or at least leaving them. I saw people leaving companies because they don't want to work. They don't want to. I don't want to work 9 to 5. And I'm not saying like that's a bad thing. Some people enjoy their work and do whatever makes you enjoy your work, your life, and what makes you happy. Be that work in a company or start your own business or whatever. But people are leaving work with a company to work online because I saw especially more experienced programmers, like people who are in the industry 10 years, 15 years, they're charging $200, $500. I even saw people charging $1,000 an hour to work freelance, and they cannot get enough of work. They're busy. They have like work every single day. And big companies are starting to realize that, at least Google, and they're doing things so that people don't leave them. Because going back to the part, Google is Google because of their employees. It's a big company. They like, okay, 2 people started it, but can now 2 people manage that giant company? No, they need thousands and thousands of people to work.
Yeah.
And if you want those people to work, well, you need to pay them good. Because why should I work and earn $100,000 a year at Google when I can work online and earn $200,000? Or earn the same amount of money, or earn the same amount, $100,000 a year, but I work on my own schedule. I work on projects that I love. I work without pressure.
Right, and you don't have to deal with like the annoying guy telling you you're wrong all the time because you're the boss.
Yeah, exactly. And this should be, especially in game dev, where we see a lot of crunch time. Like, you can take a look at Cyberpunk. What happened? Like, people worked even weekends. And that happens a lot. We see that a lot, especially in game development, which makes me sad. I mean, it should be fun. You should make people love that work. You should make people enjoy every second of it. Like I always say, I enjoy when I type the keyboard and I hear those keys, making their noises. I enjoy that. But when you put pressure on me, and I see a lot of people like in Activision, in coming out, former employees and telling about like we did crunch time, we did 10 hours, 15 hours a day. We even worked like, I cannot remember which game it was and which company it was. So I don't want to, speculate and say, but I remember seeing that post. And the person talking about that, he says we at the end, when we were reaching the publishing date, the deadline, we were living in the company, like we were literally living there weekends. We didn't leave the company at all, and at the end of the day, you get the same salary. So
Right.
So yeah, I mean, there should be some standards in the tech industry at least. And I'm not saying other jobs are bad and whatnot and so on, but I'm saying tech because it's so popular. A lot of people are using all things that are programmed, that have code in it, mobile games, desktop apps, mobile apps, and whatnot. And people who are in the tech industry, they work on that. So naturally, they should enjoy some benefits.
No, definitely. It's a lot like the film industry, and the film industry has a lot of like regulation set up around it where you have to work, you can only work a certain amount of time. They have like in America, they have unions for like all those, like the movie stars and all the different producers and all these different people. So like I think what needs to happen is probably some kind of unionization in order to standardize that. But I think the best and easiest solution would be to just, if you enjoy making games, just to make your own studio and just try your luck with that. Hopefully you have another job at that time to like, or something to hold you over.
Yeah,
but I mean,
people are skeptical, and depending on where you live, going back to what I said in the beginning, if you live in a third world country, that will be much easier to achieve than, for example, in US. Like in US, if how much, like on average per month, how much money do you need to live like a normal basic life? You have your all needs, like where you are, how much?
Yeah, $4,000 about a month.
Yeah, $4,000. That's a lot of money, you see? Like, So yeah, you see my point. Like, in 2 months, what you need to live like a basic life where you are, people live for a year and a half where I am. Well,
also I have 4 kids, so that's like my needs. I mean, but that's for 4 kids. So I'm sure if you're a guy, like the difference is like if you have no one to look after you. If I was just alone and I could do whatever I wanted, I would almost have no problem with just like eating almost nothing and just paying for my apartment, and that would be it. Or I might have moved to Serbia by now at this point, and just lived like a king. Yeah. I don't know, but at the same time, it's like when you have kids, that also kind of it adds another layer to it, so it's harder to escape that.
Yeah, and definitely. That's why I say and mention all these things, because it's not only making games, playing them, and having fun. It's real life. So if you want to do something, for people listening, if you want to leave everything and start creating games and try your luck and try to succeed, you need to think it through. You need to plan it out. You need to have a solid plan. You need to have a structure. How, what, where do I have enough money to sustain myself for the next year while I'm trying to do this, and so on and so forth. It's not like, oh, I love this and, I listen to Tony Robbins, and if I want it so badly, I'm just going to do it and I will reach it. It's not as simple as that, It's not only I want it and I will do it. It's also plan it, be smart about it, learn how to market, learn how to do all these things, and then go for it. And then you have a high chances of actually achieving it.
Right, and then you also have to be ready to fail, because like there's always a lot of obstacles that you just never saw that just pop up, from like actual physical obstacles to internal like mental obstacles, like like a losing your motivation for some reason or another, So exactly. Like all that happens, and if you're not ready,
the main thing, no matter what you're doing, no matter what you try to achieve, is you convincing yourself and believing that, it takes time, and be prepared to have patience. Like, patience is the main factor in everything, because at the end of the day, nothing happens fast. For some people it does, but we can, say that's luck, that's this, that's that. For some people it happens, but for the majority it won't. Not everyone will create a Flappy Bird game. And some people, it takes a lot of time. Like I believe the guys who created the Crossy Road game, it was like their 50th, or I believe that was the guys who created Angry Birds. It was like their 50th game or something like that, and they were like, okay, this is the last try. After this, we definitely quit. All of our games have failed. Let's try to do this one more. And you see, it can get to that point. So you need to be prepared. That's why I say have a strategy. Like what I'm doing with my friends. They all have some side jobs which provide them solid income. They can sustain themselves so they can fully focus on creating games and trying to build another business that will eventually either become our main business or another business that gives us cash from the side that we all enjoy to do.
Right. And once the games are out there, you just kind of have to update them, right? To keep them on the App Store, you have to kind of
you
keep
look at the
pushing out
feedback.
updates.
Yeah, I was like telling my friend right now for the game that we are going to publish, we call it Gravity Control. It's a really fun game. And I'm like, he has a lot of features. What about this? What about that? We have a to-do list. Like, what about this? And I'm like, look, man, I just want to publish it. We did a lot of things. It's a playable game. It's a cool one. And everything works. It's fun and so on and so forth. Let's just publish it. Let's see the feedback. And then we'll see what we will change, add, remove, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, exactly. I think just having it, like breaking that barrier of publishing it first is definitely necessary. Otherwise, I feel like it's really easy to find things that are wrong with it and find things you want to fix. It's really easy, much easier than actually doing it.
Exactly. There's always something that you can add. There's always something that you can remove, and there is always something that you can improve. Always, always, always. No game is perfect. Like, take a look at the best of the best games. They're constantly updating them, constantly new features, constantly bug fixes, constantly this and that. So it's easy for people to get caught up into this, especially for beginners. And I talk a lot about those in my emails and in my videos. Just publish it. I mean, don't publish, basic things, but just publish the game, man. If it's playable, if it works, everything is connected, it looks nice, just publish it, man. Even if it fails, so what? You learn something new. People are I don't know. This is not only in game development, but in everything in life. People are so scared of failure. Like, some time ago, I went to my grandma's and my sister over there, and she's going to college and she has some exams. And I'm like, joking, man, you're going to fail the exams. And my grandma was like, oh, why you say that? I was like, it's not the end of the world. If she fails an exam, she can retake it and she can pass it. If she fails, and people are obsessed with this. Like, you need to pass everything from the first try. No, you don't. Not any.
And you won't. Most time, like sometimes, yeah, maybe sometimes you will, but there's times you might even pass stuff the first time most of the time, but there's times when you're just going to fall on your face.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and if you take a look at the most successful people in the world, in any branch, in any industry, they failed millions of times before they actually succeeded. In anything, if you take a look at, Edison, if you take a look at whoever, they failed a lot of times before they succeeded. People just, I'm really amazed that people don't realize that when you fail, you actually learned something. You learned what is not working so that next time when you try it, you know what you should avoid. It's simple.
Definitely. And exactly. And so how do you structure your day, right? So like how long do you work on the game? Like on I guess on the game or that game company or something related to that game company per day?
Well, when it comes to the company, to the game development company, if we are currently working on a game, I do everything that I have about the game because we collab, we use GitHub, and this is one other thing that I advise everybody, like when you're collabing, use version control. It will save you a lot of time, and learn how to use it properly because we had issues with it, with committing and stuff like that. It was overwriting our stuff before we learned how to use branches and all of the good stuff. So now everything is working. But yeah, I mean, because we're collaborating, there's always some things that I need to do and other things that other people need to do in the team. So when I finish my part, I wait for them to finish their part. I am free then. So it depends. Sometimes, like for today, I didn't have anything to do on the game. I finished everything I had yesterday. And my other friend, he's wrapping up the levels. So that's his part. He's, tweaking them and finalizing them. That's his part. I'm waiting for him to finish that so that I can merge it into the final project and retest it one more time for optimization, just to be sure before I publish it. And I'm waiting for him to do the icons and the promo images for the App Store and the video. So basically today I didn't do anything, and tomorrow I will also don't have anything to do for the game because I'm waiting for him. So I will probably create some videos. That's what I plan to do. But when I have some parts for me to do, sometimes it can take 2 hours, 3 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, depending on. So I cannot say on average how much, because, sometimes for 3 days I don't have anything to work on the game because I'm waiting for him. I did all of my part. And especially now, and we were two-man team so far. Now we are 4. So I can assume that time will even be less. But we are 2 programmers, 2 designers. So yeah, depending on the game, but that time I believe it will be even less, so we will split a lot of work between us. So yeah.
No, that's good. So you basically have it figured out. That's how I feel like a lot of people want it. They want the freedom to be able to like just finish their part and go on. And that's kind of the benefit of a big company, right? You're kind of portioned out this part, but if you can kind of find a good designer that will work with you, then I think these programmers should have no issue. So if you guys are a designer, comment below. Say, I want to work with a programmer. If programmers, comment below for designers. I think you're good to go.
Yeah,
we'll be the matchmakers.
Yeah, but going back to the part that you said about in big companies, you always have work to do. You always have something to do, and that's the weird part about companies. There is no okay, I have this part, and when I finish it, oh no, you're finished with that, come do this. But I believe it's from company to company. But definitely, the main thing why we, as you said, we have it figured out is because I'm in the online business, in doing business online for this is my 7th year. I learned about marketing. I learned about a lot of things. So all of that I'm applying into this game development business. If I haven't learned all of these things, I assume that what we are doing now, it will be all upside down, trying this, doing that. We'll probably not even use version control and stuff like that. So again, going back to the main part, it's not only about open the project, open Unity, open Unreal Engine, whatever, and start creating the game. It's not only about that, because there are a lot of things that come in between. You need to organize, you need to think about this, think about that, and you can easily put yourself in a maze that you cannot get out if you don't take everything into consideration.
Yeah, and I think having the team also probably helps unmuddy those waters. Even on a solo project, I've been working on these games a month, and even with a simple mechanic, I get my brain my wires tripped up sometimes. I'm like, okay, I need that, because it's all especially programming wise. I mean, this is really when it comes in, is programming wise. You have to think of the order and how the computer will take it, and whether this is going to be ready by the time that this is going to be done. And it's just sometimes I get myself so caught up and I just have to. I don't even know how I do it. I just kind of calm my. It's just diligence, I guess. You just have to persevere through that confusion and just overcome it. Kind of think like a computer.
Yeah, definitely, especially as you said, when you work on your own, and it's a lot easier when you work as a team. Sometimes just on one of the games, I had an issue that I couldn't fix for 2 or 3, even 4 days, I believe. And I got my other friend who is the programmer on the team, and we looked at it together, and it took us an hour to figure out what was going on. What took me 4 days and I still didn't figure out, So yeah, definitely working as a team helps a lot.
Yeah, I think a reliable person that is always better, because of the fact that you're doing the revenue sharing and you're sharing it. You need a person that you can really rely on. Otherwise, you might start a project, you might get 2 weeks in, 3 weeks in, and the person's super hyped about it, and then all of a sudden you're ghosted, and all of it's gone.
That was the main issue that I had, actually, why I didn't start the game dev company before. That was the main issue, because I couldn't find people over here. It's a small city, relatively small city. It has 150,000 people, which is a small city. So not a lot of people here know how to program or what programming is, and not to mention game development, how to create games. And my friend who's on the team, who's a programmer, I brought him in on the game, in the game dev world, and he liked it, and he then learned and stuff like that. So that was the main issue with me. I couldn't find. I had the same issue as you just mentioned. I started working with one of my friends from high school, and we started working on a game. That was 5 years ago. We started working on a game, and I was waiting for her for 2 months to do some basic drawings that I needed for the game. For 2 months, and then I had enough, and then I found other people to work with.
That's how it ends up going. It's like you find someone who's extremely, at least appears extremely excited, but they always find something else to do. They never have, or they just forget. And I'm guilty of it too, honestly. I feel like if someone were to ask me right now to do something for free, I would be like, unless I really know them, I would say no.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. That part, yeah. For that, you are totally right. If I don't, I mean, like just the other day, I got an email from, a random person online. He's like, man, I do this, I do that. I believe he said he's a programmer with this experience and that experience. I would like to work with you on the game. I'm like, dude, sorry, don't get offended, but like, I don't know you. It will not be easy for me to trust you with my project just like that. You're a random person on the email, So I cannot just trust you with my project. Okay, here you go. Here's my source code. Here's everything. And you do what you please. How can I know if you're not going to steal it? How can I know if you're not going to just sabotage it? For whatever reason you have, people are weird. There are a lot of people online. So how can I, I don't know you. I cannot trust you.
Right. And I think it comes out like I wouldn't work for free. I think exactly. I wouldn't hire someone to work for free either, because it's the trust issue. Like if someone's willing to work for free, really, like what are they offering? Because if they're good enough to work for free, they're good enough to work for money in a way. At least for me, like I wouldn't trust someone who's not willing to say like, oh, yeah, I'll charge this much, and I don't have the money to pay you that much, so just go away. I'll do it myself. No,
yeah.
But I mean, for real, there's like a trust element where people say like, oh, what I've gotten is messages like saying, I have this good idea. If we make this, you can have 50% of the money. It's like, oh well. Come on, dude. I mean, I could I'm doing other stuff right now. Like, I could probably make something just as good or better on my own.
Yeah.
That's the point of this.
Exactly.
There's no money coming.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I find it funny that people think that an idea is actually worth something. I even have people over here, they're like, man, I have this nice idea. Is there some website online that I can pitch it and get money from? Dude, an idea is not worth anything if you don't implement it. You can have them, you can, like 30 years ago, if Bill Gates didn't implement his Microsoft idea, today it will be worth nothing. So
yeah, it's just in the head. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so especially on offers like you said, like, we can do this. If you do this, you will get 15% of the money.
Yeah, 50% of zero is still what? Zero, So it's like, what am I gonna do? There's no way. Didn't you have an issue with your YouTube channel? You got hacked or something, right?
Yeah. Oh man, it was. People are weird. People do all sorts of things to get their hands on money. So, but partly because I was stupid. Like I get a lot of offers to advertise on my channel, and I was refusing them all so far. For I don't know whatever reason, because I was stupid probably. But like for 15 seconds I get $200, for advertising, and I can imagine how much more like Brackeys. I was surprised. I wanted to advertise something with Brackeys. Do you know how much he was charging for sponsoring? For you to sponsor.
So what I've heard is they charge up to like $35 per 1,000 views sometimes, something like that.
For Brackeys?
I don't know about Brackeys. I just know some big YouTube channels sometimes charge that much, like hundreds of thousands.
Okay, some YouTubers charge per views. Yeah, but like I don't know about that, because I was like looking for a game dev channel. I contacted Brackeys because he was doing, and you probably saw he was doing like this video is sponsored by blah blah blah. And when I contacted him, he was like, it was $4,500 for a 30-second ad and $4,900 for 45 seconds on Bracky's channel. And
wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Bracky's, he was a big channel, like 1 million subscribers. At that time, he was like 500,000, but he's not getting that many views. Like, on average, he's getting 100,000 views per video. So
Right.
it's a lot of money to charge $4,000, almost $5,000 for an ad. So that's why I saw the opportunity. Like, just 2 months ago, I was thinking about, dude, what I'm doing, you know, why I'm refusing all of these people who want to advertise. Like, you know, for 3 minutes of work, I take $300, $500. Why should I refuse that? So one of the people contacted me. They're like, we want to advertise. And I was like, okay. And they're like, we want to advertise a game on your channel, and we want you to play it. As soon as he said, we want you to play it, I was suspicious, and I was skeptical. And he had a website and everything, and I went to see the website. It was totally legit. If you watched the video, you saw the website. It looks legit. They even have a Steam page. They went to that extent to create a Steam page for the game that doesn't exist. But even after seeing all of that... Man, they have a promo video, not only a Steam page, very well written with images and everything. They have a promo video as well. And I'm like, I saw all of that, and I'm like, still, I'm skeptical. I'm like, man, this is suspicious as hell. And I'm like, okay, I will play along. And I was like, I'm going to be the smart guy over here. And I downloaded a virtual machine, and I opened what he sent to me. I opened it via virtual machine. But, you know, apparently it can surpass the virtual machine. And then later on, you know, after some research, I found out that they actually don't steal your password. They actually steal the cookies from your browser. They steal the cookies from your browser, which have the, you know, they can, you know, log in right away. If you saved, you know, if you clicked on save on this computer, don't ask me again for the password. Then don't ask me for two-step verification on this computer.
Whoa.
Yeah, it can, and they just stole the cookies and they logged in again. I mean, that's one of the things that I saw. Maybe they also stole the password because I was stupid at that time and I saved all my passwords on Google Chrome. So now I have a software for storing all my passwords with one master password that basically only I know. It's only in my head and not anywhere else. And on a piece of paper in case I die and, you know, I have people to inherit me. So, yeah. So now...
Wow, so wait, they can get the cookies from... Basically, the cookies are saved in the browser. They can get it from...
Yeah.
I just thought Google Chrome was more secure than that.
No,
I thought you needed, like,
man. Google Chrome,
I thought you needed a separate
Google
a separate
Chrome
password
is one of the
or
worst browsers, man. I switched over to Mozilla Firefox. Not even it's slow as hell. Like when you open like 3 tabs, it eats 10 gigabytes of your RAM. You know?
Yeah, it eats so much, it does.
Yeah. And especially it's not secure. I mean, it was that easy for those guys to steal all my credentials from Google Chrome. And I was like, it's unbelievable because at the end of the day, it's everything stored on the local drive, you know, where Google Chrome is installed. So it's easy for them to fetch it. But now when, you know, I'm more smart, you know, because I still get those offers. Like, and they went, look at the extent where these people are going. They're like, the other day, like in the past few days, I'm getting an offer from Ubisoft. They're like, hello from Ubisoft. We want you to advertise this game. But what got me impressed is their email is at ubisoft.com. It's like media at Ubisoft. I'm like, where did they get the Ubisoft email, like extension, ubisoft.com? It's like their own website. How can they get that email? But probably there are some services that can copy it.
Yeah, like an email spoofer or something like that.
Which is what I assume. And like, like in that video, I said like, I pray to God that he gets cancer, and people are like, man, you cannot do that. What you don't realize, I'm not the only victim here. Like, I thank God I got my channel back right away. Like, the damage was only for like 6 hours. I mean, he had access to it for 6 hours, but he put all my videos on private. I got the strike for my channel. And even after YouTube removed that strike, some videos were left from that person, and I got another strike, which YouTube still didn't remove. And I messaged them about that. It's been a month so far, and they are not removing it. And I need to message them about that again, which is a lot of, and he basically cut down my YouTube revenue by 30%. And this month it's going to be 40 or 50% less than what I earn on average. But that's not the revenue I'm worried about, but that's the damage he did. And as I said, I'm not the only victim. Imagine all those people who didn't get their channels back. Imagine all those people who got their channels deleted. Imagine
I think that was what you were saying, right?
Yeah,
In the video?
my only business is not only YouTube, I have other websites I'm associated with. I might have my own website, but imagine people who only have YouTube as their business and they steal their channel. So these people, the world is better without these people. That sounds harsh for somebody, but that's the truth. Like, if you have a killer who is killing people and you pray to God that he dies, is that a bad thing? He's killing people, man. He's doing damage.
I think definitely that these people are. It's kind of ridiculous that this even happened. I hope that it doesn't happen. Like, again, I'm so curious as to how they made that whole game kind of facade, right? You think it was their game, or they just kind of they took someone else's game and just kind of used it as
I believe they took someone else's game. I believe that's it, because I don't believe that they went through all the trouble to create a promo video, to create this, to create a website, to create that, and so on and so forth. I believe they took someone else's. But overall, the scam industry online is very huge. I saw in some videos for people who research that, it's like a $4 billion industry a year. It's a lot of money.
And it's and a lot of it, if I watch some YouTube videos, and I guess they pop up in the algorithm sometimes, is like the counter scammers, like have you seen Kit Boga and all those people that like talk to the Indian call centers and like kind of scam them back in a way, not really scam them, but just troll them.
Yeah, troll them or reveal I saw one guy, he's like revealing their identities, and he is like breaking into their facilities, their cameras, and recording them and stuff like that. But that happens a lot. That happens a lot.
Yeah, they have full companies in India that are basically dedicated to that.
I saw that.
Insane.
It's like a regular company. They have an office with desks and people sit there and they work. I was like, man, I cannot believe that people actually put food on their family table for their kids to eat from the money that he took by scamming somebody else. And then people are like surprised when they're not happy in their life, when they have some disease that's not curable. They wonder, why is it? Well, because you are scamming people, man.
Yeah, I think I can't even understand how you would be happy at all. I don't know. I couldn't even bring myself to even go to work. That would be insane. I don't understand. I don't understand the mindset of some people. Maybe it's a culture thing. I don't know. Maybe it's like they're not scamming people that they know, or scamming people that... I think that might be kind of what it is sometimes, is different cultures kind of have negative outlooks on other cultures. Like, I know Americans are looked down upon almost across the world in a way. And so it's like, okay, they're rich. Like, why? They're rich. We need to be rich. Kind of like a thing like that.
That's one part. That's definitely true. But the other part is what we talked about. People think money is everything in life. And for people who think money is everything, they don't choose the method how they will get to the money. What's important, they will get the money, no matter how. And if a person is like that, man, he will rob you, he will stab you, he will kill you just to get money.
Yeah, I think there's definitely, it's kind of it's sad. It's sad that it's like that, I think.
Yeah, but I mean,
took a negative turn here, but it's good. It's good.
Yeah, I love it. I love what I loved about this part of the podcast, or the one that we're doing now, is that we talked about a lot of things. It doesn't have to be everything about game dev, even though everything we talked about, it's still, related somehow to game dev. So yeah.
Yeah, and so you were talking about the ads though, and I'm honestly excited to be able to eventually get ads, hopefully, if I grow my YouTube channel enough, because I don't know, I just like to see the kind of products people are willing to advertise. And I think it's nice to help out smaller people, but also I think it'd be cool to see some kind of financial gain. And so honestly, I feel like my content I'm trying to start gearing more towards advertisers, and kind of like, I want to figure out that, like, a game dev version of that, like Mr. Beast, like Logan Paul, like, I did this in 50 days. I'm trying to figure out that, but it's all idea phase right now. So
Yeah,
you know, like those
definitely.
algorithm hacks.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to game dev, personally, like, I think the best thing that we can do and we can offer is actually to teach people something. So, like, I also do some entertaining stuff. That's okay from time to time, but like, I believe the main thing with us should be to actually to teach people. I mean, that all depends on your goal and everything, but at the end of the day, if you helped one person with your content, I get these emails a lot. People who learned from me, I have a lot of people messaging me like, I learned from you and I got a job. That's the feeling that you get from hearing that. It's a lot, it's a lot better than, if a person has messaged me and messaged me and said like, oh man, I laughed a lot with your video. It made me laugh. Okay, it made you laugh, and what after that? But like, you actually got a job. You're feeding your family now. You're sustaining yourself. You're living a life and I partially contributed to that, But again, that depends on what you want to do. And yeah, but I definitely, and especially depends on what you plan as a game developer. Like, do you plan to create games and publish them? Do you plan to sell courses? Do you plan to have your own assets and sell your own assets? Do you plan to offer your services? All of these things
Right.
come, you will be like a brand, because at the end, this is what I talked about with the Unity guy. And we were talking about games and stuff like that and how to promote them. And I said, one thing we indie people will always have, that big companies will never ever have, is the ability to connect with the audience. Like, people love me because of me. Those who love me, they will of course be people who hate you. That's, inevitable. Yeah, that's inevitable for everybody. But those who love me, they love me because of me. But those people who love to play King games, they don't love King. They don't love the company. They don't even, in a lot of cases, they don't even know which company created the game. They just enjoy the game. But, I saw this with me, because I had a lot of people who bought my products like over and over and over, the same products. I had people who bought my products like 3 times the same product. They bought it. Why? Because he follows me, because he loves me. Maybe for my personality, maybe for the way how I'm teaching, maybe for this or that. It doesn't matter. But big companies will never have that. And what's the benefit of this? No matter what you put out, be that a video game, be that a course, an asset, your services, they will always request it. They will always buy it from you to support you. If nothing else, just to support you, they will at least donate just to support you.
Right. I think that's good to build a fan base and then have a connection with people.
Exactly.
That's really important. That's really, really important.
Exactly.
For me, I get the messages too, but mine's more like, post the next video, please. And then I'm like, I don't want to do that tutorial anymore. I'm done with that.
Yeah.
That's where I found myself, is doing I see you did it really well, is just doing the whole tutorial in one video, as opposed to breaking it into pieces, because breaking into pieces kind of leaves the potential for it to be unfinished.
Exactly.
But having,
and I saw that.
The whole video is great.
I saw that. If you go in my playlists for the tutorials that are break down into 10 videos, 15 videos, you will see this. And it always happens like this. First video, it gets like 2, 3, 5K, 10K views. Second video gets 2, 3, 5, 10K views. Third video gets 1K view. Fourth video, 1K. Sixth video, below 1K. When you get to the last video, it has a couple of hundred views. But, when I publish a full tutorial in one video, it gets more views. And people are like, it depends on people. I see some people, they're like, oh man, like, you should split it, in parts. I cannot follow it like this. Man, that's just you being lazy. So if you cannot follow it,
definitely.
if you cannot follow it like that, I don't care. That means you're lazy. You don't want to actually learn. When I was learning, I was so dedicated, man. I took a book. I first started to learn how to program before I started to learn how to create games. And I started to learn with Java. I took a book about Java that had 2,000 pages. I read it 2 times and I wrote down at least 500 pages from that book. Some code, some definitions, some this and that. That's how dedicated I was. So if you cannot take a simple notepad, open it on your computer and put a note, I'm at 53 minutes and 52 seconds of the video, then I don't care, man. I don't want you to watch the video,
YouTube saves it. YouTube saves it anyway. But
and
yeah,
YouTube
I
saves it.
get, I get where you're coming from too, and I completely agree. I honestly love the long form tutorials because I feel like I can either finish it in one sitting without having to like find which part I'm on, or even if I finish it, if I'm halfway through, I don't have to go be like, okay, did I complete part 6? Or was I on part 7? Was I on part 8? I think it's really easy to like just go back to where I was. And even if let's say it doesn't save it, I could just look at my code and be like, okay, I was here,
yeah.
he's here. Exactly. I mean, it's...
Yeah, but especially nowadays, people want everything to be spoon-fed. Like I did a video, my last week video was about that. People just, I'm starting to think that it will, like in 10 or 20 years from today, there will be a time where people will want, for me just to transfer my knowledge to them without them, trying to learn anything. It's like that, people are tripping. They're tripping to be game developers. They are pretending to be game developers when in reality, they're just, bragging with their friends. Man, I'm a game developer, but what he actually did is just copy pasted a tutorial and here's the game that I created. So if you truly want to be a game developer and you want to make that your career or create a, indie studio, whatever, man, you don't care. You're not going to sleep. You're going to learn because that's your dream. You are going to do everything to achieve it. But if you're like, man, you should do this, you should break it down, man, you don't want to learn. Don't lie to yourself. Try to do something else. Don't waste time here.
You reminded me of that $200 game that was just your game. I was on Steam. That's so funny. I actually saw Penguin Zero's video before I saw your channel, and I was like, "What the heck is this game?" And then I did your tutorial like later on. I was like, "Oh wow, this is the exact same game."
Yeah, it's actually not my game. That's an asset from the asset store. I cannot remember what Osarion. That's his username, and I contacted him, and he agreed to allow me to create a tutorial. So it's actually his project, but I created a tutorial from it, so I assume he stole the tutorial or the project from the tutorial and just published it on Steam. That's why I created a video. He stole my game, and people are like, "That's not your game!" Dude, calm down.
But I mean, literally, this guy put a $200 video from a tutorial that you made. It seemed like it, at least. That's exactly what it seemed like to me as well.
He definitely did that. Yeah.
That's insane. Oh. Yeah. So, I mean, you guys can get rich. You just got to sell $200 games, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
No, but what I was gonna say before that is, I think there's definitely a lazy element to it. But there's also, so what I was finding myself, and it just takes thinking to get over this. But it's just like, how do I progress beyond tutorials? Which is, I guess, just like the classic question is like, I want to learn how to do something, and really the best, it might seem hard at first, and like making a new mechanic or kind of reverse engineering a mechanic, I guess you could say, on your own. But literally, if you've gone like kind of learned how to think programmatically and learn the basic concepts, it's not really that hard to do. It gets easier, and it's not that hard to do to begin with.
Yeah,
as long as
this
you can
is
just
what
think.
people don't understand. Things get easier. They don't get harder. They get easier. The hard part is at the beginning. After that, it gets easier. I was scared of profiling my game. I was like, how can I read? How can I figure out what is wrong? Now, profiling for me is a piece of cake. I learned it, and now I know like the ins and outs. How can I profile my game, and how can I make it? I have this thing from my friend, like this is whatever, a low end. This probably costs $20. Nobody used this. This is a low end device. And I can make my games run on 40, 50, 60 frames on this thing. So...
Oh, that's a good idea, actually. That's a really good idea, is to have like a really low end, like the lowest end kind of tablet or whatever.
Yeah.
And just see if your game runs on it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is what I'm doing. Like these are my testing devices. I have like this one. I have some Huawei phones. These are like, this one is the best one, and this one. And then I have like iPhone 6 and iPhone 10 for testing. But basically, I don't do any profiling on iPhones, because if I make it run 60 frames on this thing, iPhone can run it on 100 frames easily.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's a lesson. If you're making mobile games, buy a couple cheap mobile devices and then use your normal one. Your normal one's probably, for most people, their normal one is probably like a good phone that can run it.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's your good one. Yeah, there's
I mean,
your good
this one,
then...
this is like Huawei Honor 8. And this is a really good phone. It has like 2 gigabytes of RAM. It's really fast. I used this phone for 2 years. It's really fast. And this phone is like, I believe now it's $60. It's really cheap.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's not bad.
Yeah. So my point is, like, everybody now, like even the poor people, I know, like, and I'm not judging, and I'm not saying like bad things, but like I have waiters in my city, people who work as a waiter who earns like $300 per month. He has iPhone 12, which costs $1,500. Like, he needs to work 6 months to buy that phone. You see,
That's crazy. That's crazy.
yeah, I mean that's the mentality of people today. Like, I know people who don't, they rent a place where they live, but they drive a $100,000 car. That's the mentality of people nowadays. So my point is, like, if you can get your game to work, especially on a mobile game, if you get your game to work on a $60 device and it runs on 60 frames, man, even if it runs on 30 frames, just publish it, because most of the phones out there that people have are like $200, $300, $500 phones that are capable of running Grand Theft Auto 5 and not your small mobile game.
No, definitely. I think unless you have so many bloom effects or something like that going on, a million bloom effects, I think that's a problem I ran into at one point. It wouldn't even build. I think my computer wouldn't even build the game. It was too much going on. It took so long. So now it's supposed to be a mobile game. I just didn't. I blew it. I just threw that out. Oh man. Well, dude, it's been good to talk to you. We've had a.
Yeah, this was really interesting.
I feel like this has been such a diverse topics for our podcast. But I mean, I enjoy this style better. I like talking about everything as opposed to just the failures and successes of strictly game development, game programming. So just learning about the people behind it.
Yeah, I love this part as well. Yeah, it was really nice. I enjoyed this one.
So can you just I guess kind of pitch, like, tell us the games that you have out right now, right, and the games that are coming out, the names, and so we can kind of download them, maybe check them out.
I mean, I will also give you the links for the games. The games that are currently out are Pookie Ninja and Block Slice Ball next week. So tomorrow is Monday. So next week I have a game called Gravity Control that is coming out. And probably in 2 weeks from today, we will have another game. We still don't have a name for that one, but that one's a really addicting one. A really addicting game. I mean, I want you to download and play it, but I don't advise it because it's going to be really addicting. We will see. I still don't have a name, but I will definitely send you a link.
All right, dude. And the links will be in the description below, so go ahead and click them. Make sure to check out Awesome Tuts on YouTube. He's got some great tutorials and great entertaining videos, some good advice. He's got it all. Thanks, Fahir, for coming, man.
Thank you for having me, man.